Travis Wayne Goodsell, one final video for the day covering the events of today with an update of the Michigan shooter and burner of Mormons at the church this morning. I'm hoping I'm not being cyber attacked, that it was just all the time that I was on the internet. But yeah, I had a freezing of the camera prior to this version. So, additional information that I got from the sheriff reporting on it was that there are now 4 dead. 4 Mormons dead. And the shooter making 5 when he confronted with authorities in a shootout an hour and a half after his attack. And we can call it a terror attack. It's a mass shooting event, and it's a hate crime because it specifically targeted a religion, even though his history, if he is connected to previous shootings in Michigan, he just attacks Christian churches from what it appears. Since the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints claims to be illiterate and then sends out their members as illiterate to tell the world to be illiterate and accept their illiteracy as valid, everybody believes the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is Christian rather than Jewish from the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith's own words in the text of our canon of Scripture. That's what my channel has been about this whole latter days, shall we say, is that we're Jewish. We're supposed to be anyway. So the church has been lying to us. That's why I blame Nelson for what happened. Granted, if Nelson were honest and the church from Brigham Young to the present were honest, telling everybody we're Jewish, we'd have a completely different scenario today. I might not have been born. Nonetheless, here we are. So they're still having to go through the rubble to find other bodies in the chapel. There are 150 that attended that ward. One news channel interviewed a survivor. He was sloughing. So yeah, he fled when he heard the shooting. Shh. I have been in many award over my lifetime. There are those Mormons all over the world. So, yeah, it seems like there was just the one ward that met at the building. And so it may have been 10 o'clock when they started. As initially I talked about how, depending on how many, typically 9 a.m., 11 a.m., and 1 a.m., and if it's large enough with multiple wards in one building, you'd have a 3 p.m. as well. And so it appears that there is just the one ward that meets there, 150 people, and it could have been at 10 o'clock when they were having sacrament. And that's why the other survivor was on Mormon time. Just awful, horrible. It's gonna make me cry again. And so, obviously, I will continue to give updates as the days go by and the body count rises. The town has about 8,000 people. They do have a senior center there, a nursing care center, which seems like it's quite big. There are likely many members from there that may be driven to the ward. But there's also a high school and a middle school. There are playgrounds, parks for kids specifically. There are ballparks. There are stores that would cater to a younger audience. And so, yeah, there's going to be some children involved. KUTV2 Utah were the only ones locally not to cover anything because it's Sunday, I guess. Others had no problem. Because it was big news. But the local news here in Utah didn't give a damn about the Mormons in Michigan. They had one token reporting on it, and it was the original one with the lack of stuff. They weren't following it. They just did a token video because they were already at work doing multiple videos about Nelson dying. That's the priority here in Utah. Nelson, not Mormons. That was made abundantly clear. Pissed me off. The national news was different. Not a single one of them. Not a single one of them. National news, not a single one of them covered the death of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints' leader dying. None of them. Now compare that with the Pope dying and being replaced by Pope Leo. As many of them are not even Catholic. None of the national news covered the death. And there was ABC4 that at least did people doing postings online to give their condolences. And it was just a quick couple-minute video. And there was also John Rice Davies, who had met Nelson once. But other than that, nobody gives a damn about Nelson dying. That's funny. So people outside of Utah may not have even known that Nelson's dead. But they know all about the Michigan burning and shooting. That's sad. Whew. So, my audience, cared more about Mormons than they did for Nelson. More. They watched my video, but more were more impressed with Michigan. They wanted to know Michigan. And for that, I give you guys kudos. That your priorities are right. Other than the common two who just, they need to be locked up. Sorry guys. You have demonstrated your character, and it lacks. During these tragedies, and you're putting thumbs downs on my videos. Bleep you. You guys are pathetic. Get a life and leave me alone. Seriously, dudes. Go confess to your bishop and turn yourself in to D. Todd, because you guys need to get a life. You need to get off your computer, stop hacking people, stop cyber terrorizing people, stop trolling people with hate and violence and abuse. Just stop. Dear God, Mormons, you know you're not supposed to do that, and you don't give a damn. You are worthless scum. Seriously. So, to finish off, I guess I gotta hope that I don't break down and retell you the story of why I am into women's fashion. Not just because my mom, but the origin prior to my mom, which we did actually in Michigan also. We had the Sears catalog there too. And so it would have been there in Michigan when she started the art project to do collages with the Sears catalog from the previous year as we got the new one. And she would set it on the kitchen table, and so it was most likely glue in Michigan and then Scotch tape in California. But yeah, it was a similar setup with the kitchen and the kitchen table. Is that it was set up so that you have a dining area and then an impression into the wall where the kitchen table was set, and then the kitchens were directly across from the dining area. And so that's why my memories often get mixed up, because there were times where I'm thinking it was Southern California when the Teton Dam burst, and my dad came into the kitchen while we were having breakfast before school, and saying goodbye to him as he's gonna meet up with Lowell to get to Idaho for that, to clean up. But when I check when the Teton Dam burst, I went, oh, we were in Michigan. So yeah, the Placentia home and the Michigan home were similar styles in the kitchen dining area. So, but the master bedrooms were different. So when I remember stuff from the master bedroom situations, like Michigan, that's where I got chicken pox and had homework in kindergarten. What the bleep? whereas it's a completely different design in Placentia, the home we had there, in their master bedroom. And of course the bedrooms were also different. But so Canton, Michigan, Miller Elementary School. One morning going to school, I walked, which tells you a lot of the difference in safety in the neighborhoods from back in my early childhood to California, or later on in California. But being older, I still walked, but yeah, there were some dangers older as I was walking. But yeah, very, very different. Although we did have thieves in Michigan too, so there was an emerging danger. It was a new subdivision at the time, so there were many lots that were not built yet when I lived there. So looking back on Google Maps, it's fully developed out in that area now, there on Paul Revere Boulevard where we lived. And so it was kind of difficult for me to try to figure out which of the houses we were living at, but I found it. And I've done the videos previously, but most likely, since this is a new audience, so Beth, walking out, Beth also was walking across the street to go to school. She was in my kindergarten class, and so she said hi, and I went over to walk with her to school. And while walking, we didn't get too far, probably a couple of houses down from where mine was, when a couple of older boys came up from behind her, picked her up. She was kicking and screaming in horror. As the boys were laughing at her, I went into shock as a kindergarten boy. I didn't understand what was going on, why they were doing this to her. She was just screaming, and yeah, I literally froze in shock. The other boy came and pantsed her. She wore the it's like tights for little girls, and they pulled that down, and she was scared. And they put her down and laughed as they went off to school, I guess. That was the last I saw of them. She ran home crying. I didn't know what to do. That was awkward and horrifying, and I was still in shock. And I don't know how long it took me until I decided, do I go home? Do I go to school? And then I just went to school. And so it was awkward at school. She never talked with me after that. She was always with her girlfriends. I remember playing in the trees between the school and the baseball field, or the field that we used for baseball. It could also be used for soccer. And sitting in the one tree all by myself, seeing the tree a little further down where she and her girlfriends were there, and she was happy. But that scarred me for life. And so with the Sears catalogs, seeing women's fashion, that's why I was attached to that and wanted to do women's fashion. So when my parents bought fashion plates for my sisters for Christmas, I was the one knocking on their door and playing with it. They never played with it. I was always playing with it, but they would never give it to me since I was always playing with it, and I always had to play with it outside of their door as they shut the door, obviously. And I had to do it right there on the floor. And so, West Valley City, I did the videos of fashion plates. And so it was awkward as a Mormon boy because we're not supposed to have an interest in women. We're supposed to turn off sex drives. Mine hit after I turned 10. I still remember that summer. Still remember. I was afraid I was going to die. But yeah, the church kept telling me that porn is evil. What's porn? Nobody would tell me. and with my mom being as severely strict as she was, if I tried to leave the home without a belt on my jeans, I was ordered back to my room to put on the belt because I was, quote, naked. And so with that extremist abuse by my parents, specifically the mom, concerning covering up and hiding our bodies, the women's fashion, it was an implied threat to not do it as a boy. And so I had to sneak back into the garage to pull the catalogs out to obtain the female fashion pages, which back in those days it was more of the girls my age. But as I grew up, the older women started to become more attractive. But it was all just an art form prior to puberty. So when you got the church telling you that your sex drives are evil and is of the devil, and that women are evil and of the devil, there's the confliction when I hit puberty. Is this of the devil? Well, Article of Faith number 13 that they forced me to memorize in primary says anything that is beautiful, lovely, of good report, and praiseworthy, we're supposed to seek after that. That's a commandment. I've got to seek after women. So I was conflicted. Yeah, well, I always trusted what I read rather than what I was threatened not to do. That created in me a rebellious nature, because I'm able to read and understand what I read, and people are telling me to do or be or say or act contrary to what I read from the Book of Mormon and other texts and stuff like that. So yes, I became the black sheep of the family because of that, whereas the other siblings were more compliant and submissive. And so that also produced, when with TV shows and watching movies, that Gwyneth Paltrow's movies got me interested in that type of genre of abused woman who overcomes her abusers in the end. That was Gwyneth Paltrow in her early years, and then her masterful, brilliant work that brought me to tears in the theater, Shakespeare in Love. Oh, that was just incredible. But porn. Evil of the devil. So, yes. Many people have tried to socially control my behavior over the years. When there is no crime involved, why are you trying to control my behavior? I have lost many a friend because I was not behaving the way they wanted me to behave. Daniel, for example, from West Valley, well, he's actually Salt Lake. I attended the church there, and he thought that I was a project, that I could be taken under his wing and he could groom me. Surprise! and so, yeah, you know, people who want to communicate with me, I'll do it. You know, as long as you're not abusing me. And I knew what he was doing, but, you know, I let him think whatever he wanted to think about me. And so, when the D. Todd Christofferson called to my bishop to have Karen leave me, that's when Daniel, all of a sudden, with his wife, decided that I was not good enough for him now. And so, likewise, the videos I was doing on YouTube were contrary to the living prophets of Jesus. You know, Adam fell. And so he revealed his true character and no longer wanted to be my friend and dropped me on LinkedIn, which I didn't find out until later because I was not even on. I gave up on LinkedIn way back in the beginning. When it started to become a dating site, no, I'm out. I'm getting women who want to link with me, whatever it's called, and then they are now trying to hook up with me, trying to find out how much money I make. I've already been through that nightmare in the singles wards. Get away from me. But it's sad that people pretend to be your friend in the church when they want you to conform and comply to their standards and values for you, and claim that it's the church's standards and values, which if they actually read the church's standards and values, I can expose how you're not being obedient. Nonetheless, I don't go there. But yeah, the sad thing is that he got his comeuppance. And I don't think it's connected. But he had published a book about how he was in a gang in Southern California and was heavy into porn as a gang member. But you know, whatever. I just let that slide. There have been many a people who say and do things that aren't really criminal, but you just go, oh my God. He claims he went on a 40-day fast with no food or water. And then had an epiphany that he should come back to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so his fireside tour that he was doing was about his book, about him and overcoming porn. And what is sad is that he was married. And she works for the church there in the Joseph Smith Memorial Building. And they got moved as I had to help them move, and we witnessed Thomas S. Monson driving home one day as we moved him into the President's Building, which was now going to be vacated. Sister Monson will have to go back to her mansion in Bountiful, as it will be emptied and cleaned for Oaks when he doesn't want to go to his home. And I don't know where his home is. I know Irene also is in Bountiful because of Kimberly, who broke up with me because of a disagreement on charity in the Book of Mormon. But yeah, he had informed me that he was now a church service missionary. He was called in to be that. He didn't apply for it. So he was not able to do his tours anymore and focus on his book. The church socially disagreed with his behavior and controlled him by putting him into another calling that would occupy his time through his ward. And it was helping the poor, passing out sleeping bags and tents, I guess, or whatever, downtown. And so, yeah, the church teaches Mormons to socially control other people's behavior by the way they get treated. And so for him to do it to me, and because I refused to conform and comply to his will for me, he thought I wasn't good enough to be his friend. And he, talking about the evils of porn, was told to stop and by giving him a different thing to do with his life. So, yeah, kind of sad that he never understood and got it. He did not learn. So, but yeah, that's why little girls always tug at me. You know, boys too, it's sad when boys die, and the kid that shot himself on a field trip here in Utah. Oh my God. But, yeah. Also, Sarah Murphy, girl, you needed to consult me first before talking about the church administration change. You should have at least watched my video this morning. Come on, girl. Why are you not having multiple babies like you reported you were supposed to? Again, the church does this to all Mormons, especially in Utah where they're close by to control you. And so yes, Sarah Murphy, Garna Mejia, the church pimped her out to get married. And I did the whole video series of Save Garna. Apparently I got her fired. But got her a promotion at KSL doing anchor stuff, even though it was Sundays. But yeah, the church is big time on controlling behavior that's not even criminal. It's just the church's standards and values are so extremist that it literally alters people's lives, whether you conform or not. And that, I don't think Mormons and ex-foes realize that is going on as the core. Because even ex-foes still carry the Mormon baggage with them. They don't fully realize what the church did to them in their brains with the programming. We seriously, I mean, even leaving church in West Valley, you know, the first thing I got rid of took time. The underwear. Just one day I'm thinking, I don't need to wear my underwear anymore. Why am I wearing my underwear? I'm always wearing it. I'm always self-conscious that people will see me with my underwear poking out. And so, yeah, I was saying, well, I'd have to buy new underwear. What do I buy? And so that was an issue. Jockey, by the way. Or not Jockey. Oh my God, Hanes. Not Jockey. Jockey fits like it's for a pregnant woman. It's weird. And so, yes, fortunately, they're being weeded out, and the final few or so are left until they're gone. I have their replacements of Hanes. If I could be like Mike. So anyway, that took too long. Hopefully the majority of you left after I said Beth. Let's talk about Beth from Michigan. So yeah, the YouTube is attacking me for the female fashion channels and attacking them. And it's just evil. Just evil that the church has done so much damage to the world, not just to the nation or to the Mormons here in Utah specifically. Because outside of Utah, we're not subjected to other Mormons to try to control our social behavior. And that's the big difference. And yet Mormons, when I tell them there's a big difference between Utah Mormons and those from the outside. And I remember her telling me, so are you confessing to being wicked? That's how Mormons think here. They think that because they're all Borg in the Borg collective, that they are more righteous than those of us who are outside. And the church teaches this, even at the pulpits of conference, using the fascist symbolism. If you are a stick, you're easily to break. But if you come to the church with other sticks and you bind yourself to Jesus, it's harder to break. Yeah, all of this is about spiritual witness feelings. That if you're with only other people who feel like you do, then you're safe. But if you leave and you go to the internet, porn, other apostates, anti-Mormons, you'll get led away. This is the Mormon think on how the person who commented in the earlier video I did thinks, is that it's a cult. That's the world immediately says cult group. Nobody bothers to learn how. They all use the bite me model, like Exmolex, who's Fomolex, by the way. You need to change the name, dear. Fomolex. There you go. You'll get a whole bunch more people watching now. They'll think you're a new person. Who's this? Fomolex? That'll revive your channel. But, yeah. That's really what's going on. Book of Mormon tells you not to do that. Word. Run the test on the word to find out if it's true. Real simple, not complicated. Every word produces after its wording. So that when you get the fruit, you'll know if it's good or bad. And you're supposed to do this as a kid. You shouldn't be doing this as an older person, an adult. I mean, seriously, if you're having to start all over from scratch with the Book of Mormon, precept by precept, oh my hell. Just to not even know about Matthew chapter 7, verse 15 plus. To not even know how that works as an adult. You are way behind on your perfection. But yeah, this is what the church does. It takes you away from that and focuses all on the reprogramming of spiritual witness feelings for truth. So anyway, too long.